I'm live. Howdy, howdy, howdy. I hope y'all are all doing fantastic. Welcome to right plumb smack in the middle of June, June 13th. Man, we're getting real close to Big Brother 24. It's going to be here before you know it, right? Welcome to all y'all. Fantastic Monday evening to y'all. Hope y'all are doing well. Man, it is so hot down here in Houston. Good day to be inside talking to y'all friends instead. So welcome to all of y'all. There we go. Let me go right before we do anything. Well, before we do anything else, let me give a big old shout out, a big old SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love reality TV fans. I love all of y'all out here sharing the evening with me. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Those of you who are here live with me, those of you who are going to be watching on replay as well, I appreciate all of y'all guys. As I always say, I'll say a few times, if you haven't done so already, go out, subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, and hit that little thumbs up button. And it's always appreciated, especially with Big Brother coming up. It'll let you get the notifications whenever I drop a new episode of what's going on. So with that being said, let me go out here and say howdy to a few folks before we move on to a few different topics. And yeah, Big Brother's one of them. So let's see. Howdy, Amanda Lowe. And yeah, we're going to talk about keyversaries. Howdy, Amanda. Howdy, Jake. Let's see out here again. Howdy, Ma as well. All my friends out here. Deborah Danmeyer as well. Mark Taylor, Ed Brewer. Hey, guys. How are y'all? Marilyn Sutherland. Another Monday indeed. Anthony Stike. Hey, Anthony. Maureen Carroll, Fred Benson. Man, I got all my friends. Rob J and Elisha as well. How are y'all all doing? Again, thank y'all for spending a little time with me this evening. But before we talk Big Brother, as we get a few people straggling, I will throw one thing out, completely unrelated to Big Brother, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that. Today is National, we'll talk this day in history, but I also wanted to throw out a couple of quick things. Today is National Sewing Day. Yeah, did y'all know that? It is so. I grew up, my parents owned a fabric store and they sold sewing machines. They serviced sewing machines when I was a little bitty kid. And so as a result, I grew up knowing how to sew. A little hard pressed nowadays. I don't know that I could make some big fancy outfit, but I still have sewn my share of buttonholes, sewing buttons on and sewing on patches for my kids and all of that. I went into the Big Brother house and I actually had did I have a little sewing kit with me? I feel like maybe I was going to have one, but I wasn't sure if you were allowed needles or anything else. And so ended up not needing it in there. Everything was taken care of while we were in there. But it is National Sewing Day. I did, when I was trying out for the show, tell some of the producers and everything, said, hey, if you need some kind of arts and crafts kind of person in there, I can do all kinds of stuff. I'm a handyman. I can fix your plumbing, your electrical systems. I can sew things together. If you got a curtain falling down, whatever, just let me know. I'll be just the man behind the man, jack of all trades, so to speak. And they said, yeah, Cliff, we're probably going to be good, but we'll keep that in mind. So anyway, for those of you who are interested, National Sewing Day. Yeah, it was funny when I was in there. I wanted to be helpful. They wouldn't let me do anything. At one point, we had one of the lights in the bathroom that kept going out on us. And I thought, well, I just barely touch it. It'll come on and off. It's just a short in the electrical system. I'm sure I can fix it somehow. So I started trying to screw around with it, thinking I could just tighten up the wire. And Big Brother came on there and said, yeah, Cliff, stop. Don't do that. Cliff, stop, I think was the wording. So I had to stop that. But I really got in trouble while I was inside the Big Brother house. They weren't happy with me on this particular day. As y'all recall, the washer and the dryer, I think in Big Brother Canada, it's inside. But for us in the U.S. version, the washer and the dryer is outside in the backyard, which means that we only have access to that thing a couple of days a week. So we have to do all our laundry and everything else. Well, we went back there one time and realized that every time we ran the washer, the water was just going everywhere on that fake grass out in the backyard. I just soaps and water and all that. And so I started looking around and I realized that whatever event had taken place before, I think they had moved the washer and dryer out of the way, put it somewhere else. And when they put it back, they forgot to hook up the drainage hose. And so I could see in the back, the little hose down on the ground and the little spigot that is screwed into in the back of the washing machine. And I thought, man, this is the quickest fix. Let me just fix it so we can wash and not get all the sudsy water and all that. As soon as I started to crawl back there, Big Brother said, stop that. It's like, yeah, okay. I'll do it quick and then they'll be so grateful. So I continued to try to do it. And then all of a sudden they had like the mean Big Brother voice that said, I said, stop that. It's like, okay. I don't want to get booted because I'm doing too much. So they would not let me fix the plumbing. So at that point, I went into the diary room and said, guys, whatever. If you don't want me to fix it, that's fine. But maybe while everyone's asleep, someone can go back in there and screw that hose on. It's just one little hose. I know exactly what y'all need to do to fix it. Can you tell whoever it is? And they said, yeah, we'll pass it on, Cliff. And maybe it's just this. It's California. Maybe I wasn't a member of the plumbers union and I was going to get him in trouble if I screwed the hose in because of it. I don't know. But I tried to help out. Now, the other thing I did while I was in there, and my wife, Sharon, still can't stand even thinking about this. One of the very first live eviction episodes, they brought, I don't know if y'all realize, there's a lot of things that we didn't get except for the days that it was a live eviction, such as the trimmers for the hair, and one of the other and irons and an ironing board, so our clothes would look all nice and presentable for live TV. But one of the things they brought us as well was a vacuum cleaner, so we could vacuum up everything before the show started. So I get this vacuum cleaner out. Someone has it, and they say, this thing isn't working at all. It's not sucking up. It's just, this is a horrible vacuum cleaner. And so me being the handyman that I am said, oh, here, let me take a look. So I get this vacuum cleaner and I turn it upside down and I start taking apart all the hoses and the pieces and everything else. And quickly I realized that this vacuum cleaner, which has been used season after season after season, probably had not been cleaned since, I don't know, maybe season 18 or 19. I had a long time. If I checked, I probably could have found, who knows whose hairs and stuff I could find in there. It was so clogged up with everything that eventually I just started pulling out dust and dirt and human hair and everything. And to this day, Sharon says, I can't believe you got into that dirty vacuum cleaner and did it. But when I got done, it vacuumed up just fine. No one else in the house was willing to do it. I said, yeah, I'll do it. I'll take care of it. So there you go. Cliff the handyman. If they'd had a handyman veto competition, I think I could have won it, but they didn't. So there you go. A little bit Big Brother. All right. Getting back to what some of y'all saw. Yeah. Moss, imagine getting booted for fixing the wash rubber. Yeah. That'd be horrible, wouldn't it? Just try to help. Some of y'all saw today is on this day in history. 3 years ago, June 13th, 3 years ago, I got snatched from my family, from the city of Houston. I got thrown onto an airplane. Next thing you know, I'm flying to Los Angeles and getting ready to go on Big Brother, the TV show. That was such a surreal experience. It was crazy. And people always say, how did you, and I know I've talked about this a little bit in there, say, how did you not know that you were going to get picked? Well, it's because I knew that they had alternates every year. And so I knew they were coming out to film a little intro. So you got to think, yeah, there's a good chance, but hey, I may be an alternate. I may be right back home a week later. So you don't ever know for certain, but people came out to film some little intros and all that. And it's funny because my key was discovered. Myself, my wife, my kids, we were all out doing some fishing on a pier, a little park real close to us. And they love, I've watched this intro. They love watching the alligator that swam up to us and some of the birds flying around. And we caught a fish and they like that. But what was funny is while they were filming that, when we got done, we noticed that there was a woman sitting off to the side that was watching us the whole time. And she eventually came over and said, are y'all filming a commercial? And we said, yeah, kind of something like that. Yeah. Yeah. But she watched us the whole time. And then later, they filmed a little clip at our house. And I remember as all my family and all taking a little toast saying, hey, good luck, have fun and all that. And then me being driven off down the street once I was getting pulled away. And while that was happening, we had one of our neighbors on my street who was watching as well. And all I could think, you can't say, hey, you got to go inside. You can't stand out here. All I could think is, man, I'm going to be in LA and someone's going to spill the beans. But before I even go in the house, everyone's going to be saying, yeah, we saw that guy with getting filmed and all that. And he must be going up. Who would think you're going on Big Brother? But I thought, someone's going to say something and it's not going to be a secret. How could it possibly be a secret? But it turns out it was. I know Sam, someone watched him being filmed in my season in front of his truck. And I guess word got out that he was going to be on the show. So it actually did get spoiled for him. But not for me. But I was so certain it potentially was going to, and it turned out it's fine. Yeah, it was funny when I was being driven away from the house, because that truly was the very last thing they did. They put me in the car and they said, all right, Cliff, say goodbye to your family, because when we drive away, we're really driving away. We're not driving around the corner or anything else. We are driving away. You're going straight to the airport and you're flying to LA. So I got in the car, and I remember as we drove away, I didn't want to look back and see my family. I gave them all hugs and kisses and all, but I didn't want to look back as I drove away, because it's just going to be too heartbreaking knowing that there's a possibility I was going to see him just a few weeks later. But hopefully, I was hoping it'd be 3.5 months later before I saw him again. That was hard. That was very surreal, knowing that I was not going, because I've traveled all over the world, and I can't think but once or twice that I went more than a single day without talking to my family, no matter where I was, just to let them know I was doing okay. So to suddenly be gone for 3.5 months, that was hard. That hit me heavy before I ever even went inside the house. But it's funny, because when you watch that first episode, they show me doing different things and talking, but they don't show me being driven away. And I think the reason they don't is because as we were very first backing the car out from the house, I was leaning out the window saying, this oil man's going to bring home $500,000. And I thought that was so cool to be saying that and everything. And then later I found out that some of the people in my family thought I was saying not this oil man, but this old man. I said, no, I wasn't saying old. I said oil. I'm an oil man. I'm bringing home the bucks. And so maybe the producers thought it was a little confused. I don't know. Either way, I was hoping to bring home $500,000. Didn't quite work out, but hey, that was the game plan. But as it turns out, it truly was 3.5 months before I saw my family again. Weird. So weird. I got one more thing I'll tell y'all about being snatched away before we move on to some other stuff. It was so weird getting on an airplane, flying to LA, because I knew I was getting ready to get completely isolated from any current events, anything going on. But that was the night of the NBA Finals. I think it was the Toronto Raptors and the Golden State Warriors, Game 6. And I could watch some other people that had the TV on their little headrest that were watching the game. And so I'm flying to LA, watching this thinking, oh my gosh, if this goes to Game 7, I'm not even going to know who won the NBA championship until 3.5 months from now when I get out of the house. And so I'm watching the game and paying attention, and it was close within a couple of points. And just as the plane lands, just as we're taxiing to the terminal and all that, Toronto won. And so they won the series 4-2. So that is the last thing that I saw from a current event standpoint before I got off the plane. And from that point on, there was nothing. There was no TV. There was no radio. My cell phone had already been taken away from me before I even got on the airplane. So that was the last little thing I saw of the real world, was Toronto winning in NBA before it's like, radio silence, a complete blackout of everything. From that point on, I had moves to watch DVD players, but that was it. They didn't even let me watch old seasons of Big Brother. I really thought I was going to spend the next week just watching all the old seasons and getting up to speed. Nah, they didn't have any of the old seasons. All I had were movies and stuff to watch instead, which was fun. But spending 7 days with nothing to do except to watch movies, little tough. That was a good test to see how we do inside the house itself. Joshy P saying, Cliff, how many bags did they let you keep on the airplane? One big old bag, if I recall. And I don't remember if I had my Big Brother bag at that time or not. I just can't remember. But I I had a huge bag because I wasn't sure what to pack. I had everything. I had shoes. I had all kinds of fancy clothing for finale and move-in nights, and I had all the casual stuff. I was loaded down. Yeah, you don't move for 3.5 months without having a few amounts of gear and everything else. So yeah, just one bag. I think that was pretty much it for all of us. We all came in. I'm sure y'all see it. You've got your big brother bag that you walk out the door with if you're evicted, but you also have your bigger suitcase that you pack everything else up with. And if you're evicted, just FYI, if you're evicted, you walk out with your big brother bag, you leave your bag, your suitcase, you and whoever else is on the block that night, everyone leaves their suitcase in the storage room, and whoever's evicted, that storage room gets locked for a few minutes. That suitcase disappears out the other door, and and that's it. And so then you eventually, when you're evicted, you get your suitcase back after a day or two. So you have access to your clothes and everything at that point in time. But yeah, just one suitcase. And we were told, you get everything you need, you better be packing it in there. I know that we didn't have any smokers during my season, and I'm so happy to hear that. I'm so happy that we had that. That would have been miserable. But I know in past seasons, some of the heavier smokers, I've heard little stories from some casting people and producers and all that. Half their suitcase was nothing but cigarettes, just because if you ran out of cigarettes while you're inside the Big Brother house, that's it. They wouldn't give you more. You're stuck with whatever you can bring in. So there are people who brought just minimal amounts of clothing and a whole lot of cigarettes. I'm so glad we didn't have any smokers my particular season. So there you go. It was fun. All right, let's see. Mark Taylor, an early favorite on the challenge this year. Does Xavier have any chance to win it? Do Big Brother or Survivor players have an advantage? Well, here's the thing, Mark. I think they may have an advantage just from an alliance standpoint, because just like Big Brother, it's all the reality shows, there's something to be said for having an alliance. And we've seen in the challenge before, at least regular challenge and all that. And when I say regular, I'm talking about on MTV. The Big Brother players, now that they've got some that play season after season, Josh and Devin, we've seen half a dozen or more over the last few years. Not Devin. Devin hates Big Brother players on the challenge, but Josh and Fessy and Casey and people like that, and they tend to watch out for each other for the most part. Now, Amber was part of the alliance a couple of seasons ago, and they didn't watch out for her so much. She made them pay for that. But yeah, so I think there's advantages from that standpoint. It's different because in Big Brother, in Survivor too, I feel like if you've played that game and you go into the challenge, I feel like you kind of know how to handle the stress and the whispering and the conspiring and a lot of stuff that takes place in there. So maybe that gives you an advantage. But where we probably are at a disadvantage is most of us from those TV shows, we don't see the same people over and over and over again like the people on the challenge do. Devin and Wes and some of those, they've been on it so many seasons, and so you have a history with other players, and you kind of have who you can trust, who you can't trust, or it's just a different game when you have the same players interacting one season after another. And the Big Brother folks aren't used to that particular environment. So I don't know. Could Xavier win it? Yeah, he could win it. There's several people from the Big Brother family that I think could win. I think Xavier has a good chance. I think David. I'm cheering for David Alexander. He's my guy. I shared the season together. So I'm cheering for David, but David certainly I think could do it. There's a few others. I don't know that Enzo's going to be able to do it. He's got a few years on him, but I hope Enzo does fantastic, just to prove to the challenge people the old guy sometimes has it as well. So Enzo's going to be one of the guys I'm cheering for. But yeah, who knows? I don't know. I mean, Xavier, I think, is in pretty. He looks like he ought to be in good shape, right? But they didn't really have on Big Brother these horrific endurance competitions, running comps and things like that you see on the challenge. So I don't know. I don't know of all these players from other reality shows. I just don't know which of them are capable of running 4 or 5 miles carrying a 60-pound rock on their back and doing some of the stuff the challenge has. So I don't know. That's what's going to make it fun. We've got Big Brother and we've got the challenge right after. It's going to be a busy evening. It's going to be a fun. I think that's Wednesday nights that they're going to have the challenge. I think, I don't know, but yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, Jonathan or Johan. Sorry, Johan. Johan Vase saying, did you eat in the shower? No, I didn't do that. And saying, I thought you were going to be outside from the thumbnail. Texas is hot, too hot. Don't go outside. Yeah, tell me about it. I got to say, there's probably nothing that is as hot as that artificial turf in the backyard of the Big Brother house. That was brutal. I mean, we would try to spray it down with water and stuff. It wouldn't make a difference. You just had to wear your sandals back and forth because otherwise that just trapped the heat in there. It was miserable back in that backyard. No breeze coming in because we had the high walls all the way around us. So no wind whatsoever. It's just like those walls just created this huge, I don't know, oven for that sun to come in. It was pretty hot. But yeah, Texas is doing pretty well also. 100 plus degrees every single day. Now, what I haven't told y'all is last week our AC went out in this house. Are you talking about brutal? Fortunately, we were able to get it fixed and all that. Because otherwise, yeah, I would have been hanging out at the Big Brother house or something. Not to be on the show, but just because I was looking somewhere to be a little cooler. You don't survive in Texas with that little AC going on. So yeah, it's a little hot down here. Perfect time to be inside watching Big Brother, right? I've been laughing about that, saying, all right, well, now we got 3 weeks left. So whatever honeydew projects I need to do, whatever, I grow gloofas in the backyard, not all the stuff I need to be doing, I better get done now because once those live feeds get back on TV, that you know what I'm going to be doing, right? Now, here's what's interesting. Talk about Big Brother. We've got the premiere date, which is July 6th. A little bit later than other seasons. I know our season, I think we were in the house the 22nd or something like that, the 20th, somewhere right around there was when we went into the Big Brother house. By the time the 4th of July came around, I think they announced Camp Comeback and David came back into the house on July 3rd. So that just tells you how much earlier we started than they're starting this season. But here's something, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, and it wouldn't be the first time, but I haven't heard officially that we're going to have a live move-in this year. They did it the last 2 seasons of Big Brother, and they did it for Big Brother Over the Top when that was the online experience only. But my season did not have a live move-in. I don't think they'd ever done it before that, except for Over the Top. But then they did it for the last 2 seasons. But I haven't seen. I was checking, and I just haven't seen anyone announce from CBS or Alison Grodner. No one official has said, oh, it's going to be a live move-in this year. So again, y'all tell me if I'm wrong, and I'll keep an eye out. But if there's not going to be a live move-in, and if instead they basically move everyone in and spend about a week getting all the film footage and all of that they have all packaged together for that first episode, then that means that the people on Big Brother 24 may actually be moving into the house, say around June 30th or so. And June 30th, by my calculations, is only about 2 weeks away from now, 2 weeks and some change. When I was snatched up and pulled over to LA, we had a sequester of about a week while we were in there. But with COVID and everything else going on, I think it's been extended out over the last couple of seasons to more like 2 weeks or so. So theoretically, if there's not a live move-in, if they're going into the house around June 30th, then it could be that this week, as in like starting today, there could be people that are going to be on the show who are already getting snatched away and put on planes and getting thrown into a sequestered location in preparation for being on the show. Can you believe that? There may be someone right now who's watching this live show knowing that tomorrow morning there may be people coming out to film a little intro and they may be heading to LA. If so, good luck to you, my friend. I'm going to be cheering you on, but we're right there at it. It very well could be this week that people are getting grabbed. If not, if there is a live move-in or if they don't have 2 weeks of COVID sequestered on, it's still probably going to be next week that people maybe start getting pulled over to go on the show. So yeah, we're there. I'm ready for it. I know y'all are ready for it as well. All right. Joshy P, when you did your BB21 intro dance, did they let you see the result of yours? I'd be embarrassed if I didn't see what it looked like. No, we didn't get to see what it looked like at all. If I recall, and I'll give you a little inside scoop on that. We did, as you can imagine, before we actually went in the house, we had to do some press stuff, talk to a lot of people, and do photo shoots and all of that. Now, whenever we did that, we were kept so isolated from everyone else so that we couldn't see anyone else who was going in the house. I know I'd be told, all right, when you're in the hallway, you can't say a word. You have to be completely quiet. Okay, yeah, sure. And they say if you don't follow those rules, you may not be on the show. Yeah, no, I'll be quiet. And so we get led to different places to take photos and all that. Well, that introduction that you see at the beginning of the show was filmed in front of a giant green screen. And so you got pulled into this one room. There's this huge green screen behind you. And they put you in the middle of it. And I don't know, try to do a few different poses. If I recall, and I may have said this last week, if I recall, they told me, said, all right, Cliff, what do you want to do? What kind of pose do you want to do? Do you have anything particular, or do you want us to suggest something? And I think I said something like, oh, I could take my hat off, or I could tip my hat, or give a thumbs up. And they said, why don't you try to tip your hat maybe? And they had a few suggestions about turning from behind and smiling and tipping my hat, stuff like that. So, I did all that, maybe 15, 20 minutes. And finally I said, okay, we're good. Thank you. But there were several different shots that they did. And we didn't see any of it. I'm sure they had to go back and figure out what worked best combined with everyone else's. They don't want you to do the same thing that someone else does. And all of that. So, I never knew until I got out what the intro was going to be. I also didn't know what the introduction was going to be, where they actually filmed me talking to my family and finding my key and all of that. Because you can imagine, they film a lot of stuff and then they just use a little bit of it. So none of us had a clue. We all, figured there were bits and pieces they probably included, but we didn't know for certain. It was all, when I got out, this is one of the first things I wanted to do is watch that intro and just see how I was presented and all of that. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's funny. Someone, and I would call them out, shout them out if I knew what the website is, but I think it's someone on Instagram did a little survey where they took every person's introduction from Big Brother and they broke it down into someone who either jumps or does something with their hands or touches their head or their hat or something like that. And they broke it down to see which move is the best at winning the game. And as it turns out, there's like 10 people who've done something with their head, they're touching a hat, things like that. And anyone who touches their head, that's the best thing you can do when you go into the Big Brother house when you do your intro, because they had the highest ranking in terms of how long they lasted in the game. So just a little inside information. If you're going on the show, even if you're not wearing a hat, you can point at your head, go mess your hair up, something. Maybe it'll give you that much better a chance. Yeah, you never know, right? All right, Marilyn, were you able to read in isolation? Yeah, a little bit. And Lauren says, what movies did you watch? So you could read, but if I recall, there are no newspapers or anything like that. You could read if you brought any books with you. And I brought a big old thick science fiction book, and it's a sci-fi show that's on HBO Max now, and I can't remember the title of it, but I had a big old science fiction book, and I also had a book that my son had given me on game theory and how to handle negotiations and things like that. So I actually was trying to do a little research reading that book as well and get up to speed. I think it paid off. I think some of the things I learned in there actually worked out pretty well about trying not to look at what benefits you the best, but looking at what benefits the other person the best. And from that, trying to figure out what they're most likely to want to do, and a lot of things like that. So yeah, I read a little bit while I was in there, but mainly I watched the movies. And if I recall, I was watching Mamma Mia. I watched that over and over again. I watched Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. I watched a lot of musicals just get the energy pumping and all that. I would watch Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, and I would work out while that music was playing. Well, there's a lot of dance scenes in there, and I'd be dancing and things like that, just trying to stay in a little bit of shape while I was in there. I also watched a lot of Mad Men before I went into the house, and then after I got out of the house, I watched a whole lot of it. I binged that whole season, the whole 7, 8, 9, 10, however many seasons of Mad Men there were. I think I watched all of it while I was in sequester, before and after the season itself. So yeah, lots of movies, and the way it worked is there was a big old binder listing all the different movies that were available, and if you wanted a couple of them, you would call a number, and some little runner would come down and hand you a couple of them, and when you're through with them, they'd come and get them again. We never left our sequester spot. We were locked inside, but there were people who would run errands for us and things like that to bring us food or snacks or drinks and movies and things like that. But yeah, no newspapers or TV or anything else. It was a lonely experience, but it was weird too, knowing that I was there and that there were all these other people getting ready to play the game as well, who were going through the same experiences as I was. So I spent a lot of time wondering, wonder who's doing this. Several times I tried to get Mamma Mia, and it was checked out. So I was thinking, all right, who in this house that I'm getting ready to go in loves musicals? And can I use that knowledge that there's someone else who obviously loves ABBA or musicals? Can I use that to create a little bit of a bridge with them, a contact? So just the tiniest little thing while I was in there got me to thinking. So sure, as soon as I got in the house, like day one, I quickly asked, all right, who was the one that kept watching Mamma Mia? And as it turns out, it was Nicole and it was Tommy. No surprise there, right? But I immediately used that and used it just to try to develop some more friendships with them. So yeah, even while I was in sequester, I was trying to do what I could to prepare myself for the house itself. So, the game starts. The game starts the day you go in there and try out. In fact, certainly while you're in sequester, that's part of the game as well. Joshy P saying, CBS said Big Brother 24 premieres live July 6th. All right, well, so there you go. Maybe it is a live move-in. Well, that's good. I'm ready for that. But here's the deal. It premieres live, but does that mean it's a live move-in? Or does that mean that it's a live eviction or twist or something? I don't know. You're probably right. I hope you're right, Josh, because I want it to be a live move-in. I want us to get that whole first week of live feeds, because if we miss that, then we miss a lot of what is the ground, the foundation for what comes afterwards in terms of alliances and all that. So I hope you're right. We'll see. I've given up trying to guess what's going to happen sometimes with everything that's announced and the rumors and everything. At some point, you just kind of say, whatever, bring it on. Whatever happens. I'm just ready to watch it, which is kind of the way I was inside that house. But I got to say, when Julie Chen announced that they were banishing 4 people on day number 1, my world just fell apart, because at that point, I knew I was going to be one of the 4. I mean, why not? Go after the old guy, right? So I figured that I was in trouble, and I was, but it worked out. It was okay. All right, Chris is saying, are chain wallets allowed in Big Brother? Here's what you need to know. There's no wallets allowed. Chain, leather, Velcro. If you ask a question, I'm sure the answer would have been, what do you need a wallet for inside the Big Brother house? You're not spending any money on anything. Your credit cards aren't any good. We know who you are. We don't need to worry about ID. No, there was nothing like that allowed inside the house. Production came through and gathered up everything that wasn't allowed in there, which included money. I mean, what are you gonna do? We felt like such rebels because someone, and I remember who it was, someone in that house had a dollar bill in their suitcase that they had just forgotten about. It was just at the bottom and it got missed. So I remember someone pulling out $1. It's like, ooh, we got away with something. We got a dollar bill we're not supposed to have in this house. Well, there'd be a very light bribe to try to convince someone to throw a veto for $1 or something, right? But yeah, now there's no wallets, there's no reading materials, there's certainly no writing instruments, no paper, no money, none of that. So yeah, the short answer is no chain wallets or any other type of wallet either. Lawrence San Diego, hey Lawrence, saying how are haircuts done on Big Brother? Well, you just have to hope that there's someone's got a little haircutting experience, because they don't bring anyone in. You're on your own. You get a pair of clippers and that's it. And so during my season, who cut our hair first? I think maybe Bella did a lot of hair cutting. I think she cut my hair once. Then later, Jessica cut hair. By the end of it, when there's only 4 of us left and I'm going home, I didn't ask anyone to cut my hair. I just thought, man, I'm not going to ask anyone at this point. I cut my own hair. At the end, I just took a pair of trimmers and went into the mirror and just did it myself. And I think it was okay. But yeah, no, they're entirely dependent upon someone knowing how it works in the house. One time, Tommy was cutting my hair. He volunteered to do it. I said, yeah, Tommy, I trust you. Please do it. And he cut about half my hair when suddenly that was the big blow up where Sis discovered that she was going home instead of Christy. And all of a sudden, she's back in one of the back bedrooms, and we just hear screaming and hollering, and Sis is not happy. And so Tommy immediately said, sorry, Cliff, but I've got to go help with this. I said, no, that's fine. So he takes off running, and I didn't walk into that back bedroom. I had no desire to be back there with Sis yelling at Mickey, and it was a rough 30 minutes or so. So I'm just sitting in the living room area with half my hair cut, the other half not cut, and whatever. But Tommy never cut the rest of my hair. I think when he got done, I don't remember who finished it up. I may have finished up the rest of it that evening as well. But yeah, no one. It's got to be someone inside the house that does the hair cutting. When I tried out for the show, I actually told the producers, I said, all right, I know that y'all always hope there's someone that's going to be cutting hair that knows how to cut hair every season. And I said, I've never really cut hair before, but I've sheared sheep. My brother raised sheep in FFA agriculture programs and all that. I said, so I know how to shear sheep, and I can't imagine human hair is that much different. So worst comes to worst, I know my way around a pair of shears, so I'll be the barber if y'all need it. And the producers started laughing, said, well, Cliff, hopefully we got someone with a little more experience than that, but if not, keep that in mind. We'll certainly keep it in mind. So there you go. They may not have appreciated. I don't know. My hair is easy to cut. I'm not sure someone like Sis or a few of the ladies in the house would let me get anywhere close to their hair, right? Not a chance in hell. I know too, though, that like Nicole, I remember she dyed her hair one time and all. But I want to say that even if you want to do things with your hair, you pretty much had to request it as part of your HOH basket. Otherwise, it's whatever you bring in, and that's it, if I remember. But there you go. All right, what else do we have on here? Fred Benson, who or what was OTEV in your season? OTEV was a big old carrier pigeon, bird of some sort. All I know is there's a whole bunch of stuff dropping on us as we started that thing. Yeah, OTEV was I was going to say an owl, but it wasn't an owl. I think it was just a big old bird. And that was OTEV the shy, or OTEV the scared bird, or so. I don't know. There's always some theme, but yeah, ours was a bird. It was so funny sitting up on the top of the ramp with OTEV right there in front of us, and because OTEV, the wings move and the eyes move, and it's just a little inside scoop. OTEV isn't real; it's all mechanical. But yeah, we got to see all the inner workings of all of the body movements and everything else. But it was to be sitting right there and listening to OTEV's voice, giving us instructions and knowing that a veto was on the line. And that was a huge veto. I mean, at the time, Christy and myself and Kat, all 3 were nominated. And I really wanted to do anything I could. It wasn't so much winning veto for Kat or myself. I mean, obviously we wanted that. But we just wanted to make sure that no one won a veto that was going to pull Christy off the block. Well, turns out Tommy won it. So much for that plan, because, of course, he pulled her right off. And then it was a battle between Kat and I to stay alive. But yeah, it was so strange being up there and everyone's watching us and knowing how important this is. And so I was a little bit nervous and stressed out. But there's also just that part of me saying, oh, my God, I'm playing OTEV. I'm playing such an iconic veto competition. That was a pretty cool day. I will never forget that day. Even though I didn't play that great, I'll never forget that particular day. So cool that I got to do that. And at least they're like Rockstar. People always give her a hard time because she accidentally, well, not so much accidentally, but she gave the answer to Tyler, if I recall, and it eventually created a bad situation for her and all that. But yeah, so there's a lot of iconic moments. I'm glad I got to be a part of it. All right, let's see. Michelle Moore, are Velcro shoes allowed? I guess so. I hadn't really thought about it. All my shoes were either sandals or boots or shoes with shoelaces. Now, are you talking about Velcro, not just Velcro to attach them, to close them up, but like Velcro on the bottoms to help hold you on the wall or something? Probably not. I would guess maybe not. It was real interesting, though, with shoes, because some competitions we were allowed to wear our own clothing or our own shoes even. And when they told us, and this is always, normally is during the live episodes, they'd say, wear whatever you want. Or sometimes I say, well, there'll be a little movement, but it's not going to be real strenuous. So as long as you can move around a little bit, you should be good. But every once in a while they'd say, yeah, you need to, we've provided shoes for you. And they always told us, if you don't want to wear the shoes we provide, you can wear your own, but that's up to you. But we've got shoes available if you need. And I think, if I recall, normally I wore the shoes they provided because I always thought, well, they know more than I do what's getting ready to come up. But there were sometimes we had special shoes we had to put on. For example, a slip and slide competition. They wanted to make sure that everyone had the same kind of soles on the shoes. And when I say the same kind, no soles. Absolutely the slipperiest, they're like ballet slippers that we had on. So when we were going back and forth up and down those ramps, we had no traction whatsoever. They didn't want anyone with any kind of shoes that would give you an edge by gripping that mat harder or better. So there are times where we had to wear certain things. But as far as Velcro versus laces, I don't know. As long as it didn't give you an advantage, I don't think they really cared. All right, Misfire saying, what was your morning music 90s hits? It was a good variation of music, but for the most part, probably more current music. I heard Lizzo several times while I was in the house. That's really the first time I'd heard her. The first time I heard Billie Eilish while I was in there, and I got so chapped because I found out later when Billie Eilish came on. Bad guy. I love that song. I mean, I absolutely love it. And I told everyone else in the house, I said, oh man, who is that? I really like that song. And they said, oh, it's Billie Eilish. I said, all right, I don't know that much about her, but I really like that music. And then I found out later watching one of the episodes that I think it was Christy and Jack, and Christy said, oh, that old guy, he doesn't care about Billie Eilish. He's just trying to kiss up to us by saying that. No, I still like Billie Eilish. I love her music, and but they didn't think this old cowboy listening to country music would ever like stuff like that. But so there was King Khalid, Billie Eilish, Lizzo. So we got a lot of that, but we also got some older music, and maybe that was because of me. I'm sure everyone else in the house was like, oh man, why are you playing this stuff that came out before we were even born? I know there were several times there was Beach Boy music, Beach Boys. The one I liked, and they play a couple times, We're Having Fun All Summer Long, they played. A song by Bill Withers, Lovely Day. One of my all-time favorite songs ever. So if you haven't heard Lovely Day by Bill Withers, just pull it up on Spotify or your favorite listening source and listen to it and tell me if you don't like it as well. But so when they played that song, I actually jumped out of bed. I ran into the RV and told the girls in there, I think Christy and Sis and Nicole were in there. I said, oh my God, this is one of my favorite songs. I'm going to be happy all day long just because of this music. And they all looked at me like, hey, you're an idiot. Get out of here. But that music, it was usually 2 or 3 songs that you would listen to while we were supposed to be changing out our battery packs and doing stuff like that. And it always kind of energized you and got you going for the day. I know the very first day I was in the house, I'd already been banished. I fought my way back in. I spent the night in the house. They woke us up the next morning, and there was a song, What Would I Do If I Was a Gazillionaire? I'd buy, and they have all these things that the singer would do if he was a billionaire, gazillionaire, whatever. It's a real song, and I'm sure y'all know it. I didn't know it. I thought it was a made up song. And I'm sitting here listening, trying to memorize all the things that this person is singing they're going to buy if they have a gazillion dollars. Because I thought, oh, maybe this is going to be part of some competition. So I'm just memorizing everything. And I know there are a couple of people in the house that said, what are you doing, Cliff? And I didn't want to tell them I was doing it because I thought, well, if it is part of the competition, I don't want them to know. So I just said something like, oh, I just like this song. I'm trying to listen to all the lyrics. And then later I mentioned to them what I'd done. And they're like, no, Cliff, that's a real song. It's not just for Big Brother. Yeah, I didn't know. It made sense to me. Try to play the game as soon as I get in there, right? So yeah, they laughed at me a little bit on that. Mark saying, are you doing a challenge recap? I don't know. If the challenge and Big Brother episodes are on the same day and all that, I haven't decided yet because I'm going to do the Big Brother live feeds, I think, as best I can while trying to work and sleep a little bit. But I'm going to try to probably do the live feeds. It may just be a bit much to do the challenge as well. I guess I'm going to look and see how many days a week it's on, how it works out. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I'd like to. It's just a matter of, can I do it justice? I'd like to do it because there's so many people on the challenge that I've met through Hearts of Reality and Big Brother and all that. It'd be fun to do. I just don't know yet. We'll see. To be decided. All right, Mona Walters, hey Mona, and Cindy Hire say, hey everyone, finishing packing and movers coming tomorrow. Well, congratulations. Where are you moving to? And wherever it is, congratulations. I started 3 years ago. I had my own little adventure. Sounds like you got an adventure of your own coming up. So have fun doing it. I have a feeling you probably are moving a little bit more than I moved when I went into that Big Brother house. I got one more story about being snatched. It's kind of funny. I wore a hat in the house. Just in case y'all don't know, I actually brought two hats with me. I brought this hat and I had a white straw hat. Thought, all right, well, I've got a straw hat, a felt hat. That'll be perfect. So the other hat I carried I think I carried this one in a hat box, which is a little thing, I don't know, this big, this little triangle looking kind of, it's a hat box that you can carry for transportation so the hat doesn't get crushed or anything else. So I had my suitcase, my big old heavy suitcase that I packed or I checked, but then I had this little hat box to protect my cowboy hat. And I never forget when I got on the plane itself, I had a woman that looked at me and she saw that and she said, oh, are you a musician? Because I guess she thought it was cymbals or tambourines or something in there. I said, no, it's a box to protect my cowboy hat. She said, oh, okay. I thought maybe you had a musical instrument in there. And if I'd been thinking, I was, oh yeah, you've ever heard of, name some band, Maroon 5? Yeah, I'm the tambourinist on the Maroon 5 band or something. But I didn't think of that. And really, I wasn't supposed to be talking to anyone at all. So I just said, no, it's my hat box. And I realized later, that's the very last person I spoke to that wasn't affiliated with Big Brother in terms of a handler, production, things like that. So somewhere out there, some woman who doesn't know that I'm the very last person she talked to, or I talked to before I went into the Big Brother house. But, yeah. All right, Tim Bishop, Boss Hog, did you watch any of the Big Brother Canada this year? Yeah, I watched almost all of it, Tim, until Big Brother Canada did us a dirty and pulled off the episodes off of Global TV or required that you have an app to watch it on Global TV. And I never could figure out how to activate the app being down here in the States. And I'm sure someone with technical expertise probably could have told me how to do it. But the last week or two, I had to just rely on some of the websites saying everything that was going on. So I missed a little bit of it. But yeah, I watched it. I've talked to some of the people that were on that season up there. And it was a good season. I enjoyed it. I liked pretty much everyone who was on there. I made mentions to several people that probably my two big picks were Marty and Kevin. Marty, because he was the older guy, and I always cheer for the older guy, and Kevin, because I just felt like he was either going to dominate or he was going to just flame out because he's playing so hard at times. Well, he did it right, and he won the whole thing. So yeah, I love Big Brother Canada. Now, Big Brother Australia is going on right now. And I've been leaning back and forth whether I want to try to go out there and find those episodes and very quickly get caught up before Big Brother USA starts. And because I keep hearing all these people talking about what an interesting version of Big Brother it is. I think I need to find out when that when their season ends, if it ends before Big Brother USA starts or if it ends afterwards. If it ends afterwards, I may just hold off and watch it all later. If not, maybe I'll try to catch up on that because I've heard good things about that also. Cindy's saying, Bordentown, New Jersey, moving for my job. Well, okay, good. Congratulations. I'd like to go to New Jersey someday, visit. I now have friends because of Big Brother and because of this show as well. So have a safe move and enjoy the new surroundings. And congratulations. I don't know if it's a new job or just it's going to be a little bit easier, but congratulations on that as well. Lawrence is saying, can you hear people yelling in the diary room? Well, Lawrence, I guess it depends on just how loud you are. And I say that because, yes, every once in a while you could hear someone. You couldn't really hear people talking. It's just too mumbled and muffled and all that. But like Tommy would go in there, and I knew Tommy was super energetic because every once in a while I would hear him in there screaming something rather. And it's like, Tommy's in there just pumping everything up and going on and on. So Tommy I'd hear quite a few times. Sam, every once in a while, Sam's not the most quiet person in the world. Send it! And every once in a while I'd hear Sam in there saying something or other. Again, you couldn't really hear what was being said. You could just hear yells or laughing and some things like that. And so those are the two I remember hearing. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Can't think of it, but yeah, you had to be a little bit careful. And there were times where I would sit as close as I could. I didn't like sitting in the eviction seats unless I was up that week for eviction, because that just seemed like I was jinxing stuff. I'm not really superstitious, but inside the Big Brother house, maybe a little bit more so. I didn't like sitting in those seats, but I would sit on the couch as close as I could get to the diary room, just in case someone like Tommy was maybe going to yell something that I could pick up through the walls and would help me out a little bit. Never really worked. I never heard anything that helped me out, but I tried. I certainly tried. So yeah, that house, the walls aren't the thickest in the world. So sometimes, as I know, I got overheard, so I should know better than anyone else. Wow, 7:54 hour. We're going to shut down pretty quick. Jay Milligan, what was the hardest comp you did? Well, for me personally, the hardest competition was hanging from the ropes at that very, I'll say two. The very last HOH competition where it was just Nicole and Holly and myself hanging from ropes while we spun around and we got hit by the 18-wheeler that was facing us and sprayed with goop. Crashing into the 18-wheeler, that didn't affect me at all. I think it bothered Nicole a lot, but it didn't bother me at all. It was just hanging onto that rope. And I know I said last week, there's something about my center of gravity compared to those two little petite women. My body doesn't hang from ropes the same way as theirs did. So I knew that was not my challenge. And I was quick. I don't even know how many minutes I hung up there. I stayed up there longer than Derek Frazier did this past season. He was off pretty quick in a very similar competition. I did better than Derek did, but probably not a whole lot better. I knew that wasn't going to be my comp. Maybe the hardest of all, though, was the very last veto competition. That's Win It and You're In It, where we had to take the slingshots and launch them at the big targets, knock down certain targets based on questions we were asked. It was so hot that day. And unfortunately, we just random draw determined who went when. And I think I was the second person to go. So it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. The sun was directly overhead. And that AstroTurf is just pulling in the heat. And I got so overheated that it was hard to even focus on the questions and running around gathering up these big gym balls to launch in a slingshot. It did a number on me. I was dead tired. I was worn out by the time that thing was over. And part of it too is because I knew what an important competition that was. If Nicole or I won that veto, we were sending Mickey out the door, and we had the final 3 that we wanted. And I thought we had a good chance of both of us potentially making final 2. So it was a huge competition. That didn't make it any better because I pushed myself just that much harder. So that was hard. That was incredibly hard. But, I gave it everything I had. I figured this, if I don't win it, if Nicole doesn't win it, this is probably my last competition in this house, or very well could be. So I wasn't going to leave anything on the table with it, and I kind of paid the price. It was a hard one just because of the heat out there. I'm a Texas boy. I should be able to handle the heat, but that day, a little tough, a little difficult. All right, let's see. Tim saying, can't wait to watch the recaps with you this season. Well, thank you, Tim. I'm looking forward to it with all of y'all. For those of you who may not know, and I know not everyone does, what I do during the season is I don't watch necessarily the episodes or the daytime feeds and things like that. I try to just watch whatever happens at night, say 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, somewhere around there. I'll start watching, and I'll watch until most of the time, till most of the house guests are in bed. Sometimes I just have to call it a night myself, but I try to watch while everything's going on. And then once that's all done, I take all my notes. I try to compile them into about a 15, 20-minute recap of here's the most important stuff that was talked about last night. Here's the secrets that you just enough information that then people who are going to work or school, and not so much school in the summertime, but people who are hanging out with the friends and everything know a little bit about what was talked about overnight, can be up to speed and give everyone else the inside scoop. So I've done that for the last couple of years. Love doing it, and I think we'll do it again. So thank you, Tim. I appreciate that so much. All right, guys. Before we shut down, 7:58, 7:59. All right, before we shut down, one final reminder. Guess we got Big Brother coming up, but what else do we have coming up on Sunday? Do not forget, it's Father's Day. Yeah, don't forget. If you've got a father, someone who has acted like a father for you, a father figure for you, make sure that the people are recognized in your life, and you don't have to go buy any fancy present. Just fix them a little breakfast, or just let them know how you feel. But don't forget that Sunday is Father's Day. I lost my dad a few years ago, right before I went into Big Brother house. So I don't get to celebrate Father's Day with him, but I get to celebrate with my wife and my kids, and I'm always appreciative of that. So don't forget Father's Day. All right, guys, with that being said, I think we're going to shut it down. Before we do, SKD143, love my wife, love my kids, love all of y'all out here. If you haven't already subscribed, haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please consider doing so. Thumbs up would always be appreciated as well. I do appreciate that, guys. Y'all have a fantastic Monday. Who knows what rumors and information we're going to have by the time we do this again next Monday. There may be Big Brother 24 players that are locked away in a sequester spot somewhere by the time we come out and do this next Monday. Isn't that cool? It's the best time of the season. All right, guys, y'all have a great one. I will talk to y'all next Monday. Until then, cheers, my friends. Bye.